Moving on to parliamentary matters, on Wednesday, the Finance and Public Accounts Committee of the National Assembly presented the Consolidated Report on the 2025 estimates of revenue and expenditure for the Gambia. The committee recommended cuts to allocations for the Office of the President and certain agencies while maintaining and reallocating for others. Our parliamentary correspondent, Maria Madam, reports.
The National Assembly's various committees have completed a meticulous review of the draft estimates in accordance with Standing Orders 81 subsection 1 and 84 subsection 1 and 2 and have put together a set of recommendations aimed at enhancing budgetary efficiency and accountability. These recommendations have been consolidated by the Finance and Public Accounts Committee (FPAC) and presented on Wednesday, November 27, 2024, shedding light on the reallocations and reductions to the budgets of ministries, departments, and agencies. FPAC's consolidated findings and recommendations highlight significant adjustments made to various budget lines. For instance, a total of $25,400,000 and $19 million were slashed from the recurrent and development budgets of the Office of the President, with a proposal to redirect $3 million operating costs from the development budget towards personal emoluments and operating costs for the National Disaster Management Agency. In a similar vein, reduction of $6,250,000 and $5 million were made to the recurrent and development budgets of the National Assembly, while the judiciary saw $30,200,000 cut from its development budget. These cuts and reallocations extend to other entities such as the Independent Electoral Commission, as the sum of $86,101,000 was reduced from the recurrent budget, while an amount of $22,100,000 was reduced from the $57,100,000 budgeted for vehicles on the development budget, leaving a balance of $35 million. A total saving of $33,250,000 was cut from the estimates of the Ministries of Defense and Interior and reallocated to the budget of the Gambia Police Force, the Gambia Fire and Rescue Services, and the Gambia Immigration Department.
Amount of $3,500,000 should be allocated to purchase vehicles for the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Interior. Now, police, law enforcement, and crime prevention. Despite the relocation of $8 million to the budget line for vehicles, the committee recommends an additional $7 million to complete the purchase of 2 trucks for the Police Intervention Unit and pay for outstanding areas. Drug Law Enforcement Agency, the Gambia, an additional amount of $44,259,000 should be allocated to the agency to allow for recruitment of personnel. And for precincts, an allocation of $7,550,000 is highly required to be distributed to the following previously unallocated items: maintenance of equipment, $150,000, uniforms and protective clothing, $2 million, that is $1,500,000 for officers, and $500,000 for inmates. Training, $1 million to support the training of officers of tertiary institutions and other capacity building initiatives.
Meanwhile, the Select Committee on Tourism, Arts and Culture, Youth and Sports has offered observations and recommendations on the budget allocation. As a result, the committee recommends that the $2 million under the recurrent budget for the Ministry of Tourism be redistributed to various budget lines in the recurrent as specified in the addendum. The Standing Committee on Human Rights and Constitutional Matters has also thoroughly reviewed and scrutinized the budget for the Ministry of Justice and the National Human Rights Commission, with a focus on ensuring the allocation of resources to meet their objective.
Proposed salary increments, heads of satellite institutions under the Ministry informed the committee that this increment will only affect the central government and not the subvented institutions. The committee also observed that the budgets for the subvented institutions under the Ministry of Youth and Sports, except for PRE, are reduced in 2025 estimates. This reduction affects all the OCs and some of the PEs. The various heads of satellite institutions under the ministry also informed the committee that the amounts approved in the various budgets were not disbursed to them as approved. The project coordinator of the Gambia Songhai initiatives also informed the committee that an amount of $3.2 million was approved in 2022 budget for the purchase of tractor, but only $1 million was disbursed to them so far. In this regard, the committee recommends for an amount of 2.2 million to be allocated to Gambia Songhai initiatives.
On the estimates of the Ministry of Petroleum and Energy, a total deduction of $1,770,000 was made on 12 budget lines, which is redistributed to budget lines like laboratory equipment and instruments and research and development. These lines are highly important to ensure the effective functioning of the Geology Department. The committee recommends an allocation of $500,000 to domestic cooking energy and $1.5 million to plat subscription fees budget lines.
Despite allocation of $1,270,158 to the budget line, laboratory equipment and instruments, the committee recommends further augmentation. That is, the department is making concerted efforts to maintain an operating lab to carry out in-house laboratory tests and analysis. Thus, the laboratory will need technicians to perform tests and conduct research. The department is also in dire need of following equipment, that is, complete SIF analysis set, petrographic microscopes and moisture tester, penetrometer used for thickness tests. It is not that the budget line, that is the research and development, is fundamental for geological surveys and field activities.
Looking ahead, FPAC has proposed several key recommendations to streamline budget processes and enhance financial management practices. Maria Madem, reporting for Star TV News.